In the previous lectures, we studied the anatomy, embryology, and normal histology of the female genital tract. In this lecture, we will study how these organs function together to produce the menstrual cycle. We will begin by understanding the hypothalamic pituitary ovarian axis and the hormonal regulation that controls the female reproductive system. We will then study the complete menstrual cycle, including the follicular phase, ovulation, and the luteal phase, while correlating the hormonal changes with the corresponding changes occurring in the ovary and endometrium. Along the way, we will understand how estrogen and progesterone regulate the reproductive tract, why ovulation occurs, how the corpus luteum is formed, and how the endometrium prepares itself for possible implantation. Finally, we will summarize the important physiological concepts that are frequently tested in university examinations and competitive entrance examinations. So, let us begin by understanding the functional organization of the female reproductive system. The female reproductive system does not function as a collection of independent organs. Instead, it operates as a single coordinated physiological unit in which the brain, pituitary gland, ovaries, and uterus continuously communicate with one another. This communication ensures that, during each menstrual cycle, a single dominant follicle matures, an oocyte is released at the appropriate time, and the endometrium prepares itself for possible implantation. The control of this entire process is organized through a regulatory pathway known as the hypothalamic pituitary ovarian axis, commonly abbreviated as the HPO axis. The HPO axis consists of three principal components. The first is the hypothalamus, a specialized region of the brain that serves as the master regulator of reproductive function. The second is the anterior pituitary gland, which receives signals from the hypothalamus and releases the gonadotropins that regulate ovarian activity. The third component is the ovary, which responds to these hormonal signals by producing ovarian follicles, releasing the oocyte during ovulation, and synthesizing the female sex hormones, primarily estrogen and progesterone. These ovarian hormones then act on the uterus, fallopian tubes, cervix, and many other tissues throughout the body. At the same time, they also communicate back to the hypothalamus and pituitary gland, continuously regulating the amount of hormone that is produced. Thus, communication within the HPO axis is not one way. It functions as a continuous feedback system in which each component influences the activity of the others. Understanding this physiological communication is essential because virtually every event that occurs during the menstrual cycle, including follicular development, ovulation, formation of the corpus luteum, and cyclic changes within the endometrium, is controlled by this axis. To understand how these events occur, let us first examine the hormone that initiates the entire process, gonadotropin-releasing hormone, or GnRH. The HPO axis functions through a series of hormones that act in a precise sequence. The first hormone in this sequence is gonadotropin-releasing hormone, or GnRH. GnRH is produced by specialized neurons within the hypothalamus and is released in small pulses into the hypothalamic pituitary portal circulation. These pulses travel to the anterior pituitary gland, where they stimulate the release of two important gonadotropins, follicle-stimulating hormone, or FSH, and luteinizing hormone, or LH. The pulsatile release of GnRH is essential for normal reproductive function. If NRH is released continuously rather than in pulses, the pituitary gland gradually becomes less responsive, and the secretion of FSH and LH decreases. This principle forms the basis of several hormonal therapies used in clinical practice. Once released into the circulation, FSH and LH act primarily on the ovary. Although both hormones regulate ovarian function, they act on different cell populations within the developing follicle. FSH primarily stimulates the granulosa cells, promoting follicular growth and inducing the enzyme aromatase, which converts androgen precursors into estrogens. LH primarily acts on the theca interna cells, stimulating the synthesis of androgen precursors from cholesterol. These androgens then diffuse into the adjacent granulosa cells, where they are converted into estradiol under the influence of FSH. This coordinated interaction between theca cells, granulosa cells, LH, and FSH is known as the two-cell, two-gonadotropin theory, and it forms the physiological basis of estrogen synthesis within the ovary. As the dominant follicle develops, increasing amounts of estradiol are released into the circulation. During most of the menstrual cycle, estradiol acts through negative feedback, suppressing further secretion of FSH and LH, and ensuring that only one follicle usually becomes dominant. However, shortly before ovulation, this feedback mechanism temporarily reverses. Sustained high levels of estradiol stimulate the pituitary gland instead of suppressing it, producing a sudden surge of LH. This mid-cycle LH surge is the physiological event that triggers ovulation. Following ovulation, the ruptured follicle transforms into the corpus luteum, which begins secreting large amounts of progesterone, together with smaller amounts of estrogen. Progesterone prepares the endometrium for implantation and restores negative feedback on the hypothalamus and pituitary, preventing another ovulation during the same cycle. With this hormonal framework in mind, we can now examine how these changing hormone levels produce the sequence of events that together constitute the menstrual cycle. The menstrual cycle. The menstrual cycle is a series of cyclical changes that occurs approximately once every month. Its primary purpose is to mature a single oocyte and prepare the endometrium for possible implantation. Although the average menstrual cycle is commonly described as lasting 28 days, normal cycle length varies among individuals. For understanding physiology, the menstrual cycle is divided into three major phases: the follicular phase, ovulation, and the luteal phase. At the same time, the endometrium also undergoes cyclic changes known as the menstrual phase, proliferative phase, and secretory phase. These ovarian and endometrial changes occur simultaneously and are coordinated by changing levels of hormones. Let us first begin with the follicular phase. The follicular phase begins on the first day of menstruation and continues until ovulation. During this phase, FSH stimulates a group of ovarian follicles to begin growing. Although several follicles are initially recruited, only one usually becomes the dominant follicle, while the remaining follicles undergo atresia. As the dominant follicle grows, the granulosa cells produce increasing amounts of estrogen. Estrogen stimulates regeneration and proliferation of the endometrium, gradually increasing its thickness after menstruation. At the same time, rising estrogen levels suppress FSH secretion, preventing additional follicles from becoming dominant. As estrogen levels continue to rise and remain elevated, the feedback on the pituitary gland changes from negative to positive. This results in the characteristic mid-cycle LH surge, which marks the end of the follicular phase and triggers ovulation. Now, let us understand what happens during ovulation. Ovulation. Ovulation occurs approximately midway through the menstrual cycle and is triggered by the mid-cycle LH surge. Under the influence of LH, the mature Graafian follicle undergoes a series of structural changes that weaken its wall. Eventually, the follicle ruptures and releases the secondary oocyte, which is arrested in metaphase 2 of meiosis. It is important to remember that the cell released during ovulation is a secondary oocyte, not a mature ovum. A true ovum is formed only after fertilization, when meiosis 2 is completed. After its release, the secondary oocyte is captured by the fimbriae of the fallopian tube and begins its journey toward the uterine cavity. Meanwhile, the ruptured follicle does not disappear. Instead, the remaining granulosa and theca cells undergo luteinization to form a temporary endocrine structure known as the corpus luteum. The corpus luteum secretes large amounts of progesterone, along with smaller amounts of estrogen. These hormones prepare the uterus for possible implantation and also suppress further release of FSH and LH, preventing another ovulation during the same cycle. If fertilization does not occur, the corpus luteum gradually regresses into the corpus albicans. As progesterone and estrogen levels decline, the endometrium can no longer be maintained, and menstruation begins, marking the start of the next menstrual cycle. To understand these changes more clearly, let us now examine how the endometrium responds to the changing levels of estrogen and progesterone throughout the menstrual cycle. The endometrial cycle. While the ovary undergoes cyclic changes during the menstrual cycle, the endometrium also changes in a coordinated manner. These changes are driven primarily by estrogen and progesterone and prepare the uterus for possible implantation. The endometrial cycle is divided into three phases: the menstrual phase, the proliferative phase, and the secretory phase. The menstrual phase begins on the first day of the menstrual cycle. If fertilization does not occur, the corpus luteum regresses, causing progesterone and estrogen levels to fall. Without hormonal support, the functional layer of the endometrium breaks down and is shed as menstrual blood. Following menstruation, the proliferative phase begins. During this phase, increasing estrogen levels released by the developing ovarian follicles stimulate regeneration of the endometrium from the basal layer. The endometrium gradually becomes thicker, the endometrial glands remain relatively straight, and the spiral arteries begin to elongate. After ovulation, the secretory phase begins under the influence of progesterone produced by the corpus luteum. Progesterone transforms the proliferative endometrium into a secretory endometrium that is suitable for implantation. The endometrial glands become tortuous and begin secreting nutrient-rich material, while the stroma becomes edematous and highly vascular. If fertilization and implantation occur, the developing embryo produces human chorionic gonadotropin, or HCG, which maintains the corpus luteum and its progesterone secretion until the placenta becomes capable of producing sufficient hormones. However, if pregnancy does not occur, the corpus luteum regresses, progesterone levels fall, the endometrium is shed during menstruation, and a new menstrual cycle begins. Thus, the ovarian cycle and the endometrial cycle are two closely coordinated processes, regulated by the same hormonal changes within the HPO axis. Summary and high-yield revision. Before concluding this lecture, let us summarize the key physiological concepts. The female reproductive system is regulated by the hypothalamic pituitary ovarian axis, which coordinates the activity of the hypothalamus, pituitary gland, ovaries, and uterus. The hypothalamus releases GnRH, which stimulates the anterior pituitary to secrete FSH and LH. FSH promotes follicular growth and stimulates estrogen production, while LH stimulates the theca cells, triggers ovulation, and later supports the corpus luteum. The menstrual cycle consists of the follicular phase, ovulation, and the luteal phase. During the follicular phase, a dominant follicle develops and produces increasing amounts of estrogen. Sustained high estrogen levels produce the mid-cycle LH surge, which triggers ovulation. Following ovulation, the ruptured follicle transforms into the corpus luteum, which secretes progesterone and prepares the endometrium for implantation. The endometrium undergoes three corresponding phases: the menstrual phase, the proliferative phase, and the secretory phase, reflecting the changing levels of estrogen and progesterone throughout the cycle. If fertilization does not occur, the corpus luteum regresses, progesterone and estrogen levels fall, and the functional layer of the endometrium is shed during menstruation, beginning a new menstrual cycle. Remember these important examination points. FSH primarily acts on granulosa cells. LH primarily acts on the theca interna cells and triggers ovulation. The cell released during ovulation is a secondary oocyte arrested in metaphase 2 of meiosis. The follicular phase is variable, whereas the luteal phase is relatively constant. Estrogen stimulates endometrial proliferation, while progesterone converts the endometrium into its secretory phase. A clear understanding of these normal physiological events provides the foundation for understanding disorders such as menstrual abnormalities, infertility, endocrine dysfunction, and the pathological changes affecting the female reproductive system. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next lecture.